What is IBS? Well, it's a descriptive term for a collection of symptoms when the communication between the brain, the gut, and the biome, in other words, the bugs that live in our guts, doesn't quite work properly. That can go wrong for a number of reasons. The microbiome is disturbed either by infection or by change in diet, or because of changes in the sensitivity of the nerves, or because of changes in the way the nerves transmit messages to the brain, or because of things going on in terms of our environment, and our emotional context can also have a big impact on how the bowels function. About 1/5 of the population in any given year will complain of symptoms consistent with irritable bowel. So what symptoms do people get? Well, everybody gets abdominal pain or discomfort, change in bowel habit, and many people also get bloating and they get flatulence. Lots of people complain of fatigue, and a number of people also complain of this thing called brain fog, which in a way describes poor concentration. So there are a number of strategies for managing irritable bowel. Diet is really important. It should come as no surprise that what you put in the tank influences your symptoms. First of all, start by eating regularly. Don't leave long gaps between meals, and don't skip meals. Avoid excess caffeine, avoid excess alcohol, avoid fizzy pop, and then think about diet drinks and diet foods, because they often contain sugars that get to our large bowel and they ferment, and then they cause more wind and more bloating. Also, some foods that contain a lot of complex carbohydrate, commonly found in some microwave products and pre-prepared meals, they also tend to get to the large bowel undigested and again ferment, where they produce wind and bloating. Patients often ask if they should take a probiotic, and there is a growing body of evidence that probiotics may have benefit in irritable bowel syndrome. Typically, you want to try a probiotic that's clinically proven, so Alpha-X would be one of those. A clinically proven probiotic is one that first of all has evidence that it works for patients with irritable bowel. That means that it has to get into the bit of the gut that's it's meant to affect, and it means to have to grow there in sufficient numbers that it actually impacts upon symptoms. But the other considerations are also palatability, how often you have to take it, because if you have to take something 4 times a day, almost nobody manages that. I certainly don't. And whether you need to keep it in the fridge is also a factor. If you're doing everything that you can in your diet and you're getting the basics right with regular eating and excluding the obvious things, the next thing to do is to seek the support of a dietitian to talk about specific exclusion diets. And the 3 commonest exclusion diets are dairy, wheat, and FODMAPs. FODMAPs are sugars which get to your large bowel and undigested. And because they get undigested to the large bowel, they're then available to the colonic bacteria to ferment, and fermentation leads to gas production. That may be irritant to the colon, and then people get change in bowel habit. Foods that commonly contain FODMAPs: onions and garlic, broccoli and cauliflower, sprouts, and then stoned fruit are the kind of common foods containing FODMAPs. A number of lifestyle factors can influence the way our guts function, and generally I would start with sleep. Lots of people sleep poorly, and that has a significant impact on the way your bowels function. So it's all very well me standing here and saying, oh, you just need to get good sleep, you need to get 8 hours a night. But in reality, that's really difficult, and it's difficult for a number of reasons. We have busy lives, and because even when we go to bed, we don't always have good sleep hygiene, so the quality of our sleep isn't always all that good. First of all, make sure when you're heading towards bed that you get established a good routine, that you try and go to bed at a similar time every night. Clearly that's not always possible. And that you try and avoid using the kind of bright light devices like the mobile phone, the social media, the iPad as you're approaching bedtime, if you can. Another important thing is exercise. The NICE guidance suggests that we should all be doing 150 minutes of regular exercise. That's exercise that makes us short of breath every week. And that might be swimming, it might be rollerblading, where it might be going to the gym or some other form of exercise. Exercise is good for irritable bowel syndrome on a number of counts. First of all, exercise itself has effects on gut motility and function. Secondly, if we're exercising, very often we sleep better, and that has positive benefits on the way our brains and our guts both communicate with each other, and in terms of establishing cycles and patterns of normal function, both in terms of our brains and in terms of our guts. So exercise helps establish those normal patterns and normal function.